We are live. I'm gonna go ahead and let you take it away, Ken.
Part deuce. We're back. We were talking aliens, best and worst movies, alien invasions of the planet Earth. And we were wrapping up with Starship Troopers and what's scary. Big alien bugs. What are they going to do? They're horrible. That reminds me of StarCraft. That would be a good movie to make too. Speaking of aliens, they ever did it.
I need to check that out. I want to check out that game. That's the game, right?
StarCraft's good.
Yeah.
StarCraft's got a good backstory to it. Very good. Let's see. What other movies have we skipped past that are well worthy of mentioning?
I wanted to jump in and bring this in. I mean,
you don't say that to me. You say that to everybody else. You don't say that to me. Wait till you get on. You have to say something else that makes me like swoon.
Swoon.
You're too cool for it. You told the receptionist the same damn thing.
I wanted to bring in Men in Black. Talk about Men in Black.
Love Men in Black. That was still one of my favorite movies to watch. The original for sure.
I wanted to. One thing I wish they would have kind of done a bit better with the series. Every series has like an alien invasion thing, and I understand they're kind of like the secret agency to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
But and the third one is the closest one to doing it. They actually kind of showed an invasion. Like I would have liked to seen like their alien invasion tactics or something like that.
Well, it was mostly made. It was a comedy though, so I mean you had.
I mean, maybe it's just me because maybe it's the idea of the secret agency that's against aliens. Like, I wanted to see like what could they do if an alien invasion actually happened.
If it actually went, what happened. We know the end of it with a little defense system, but I don't know. I think the third one kind of stepped out of the theme style.
The comedy?
Yeah.
It did seem like it got
to a little, I mean, there was still a little bit there, but it was more a seriously more movie. It didn't have as much humor in it. I mean, granted,
I don't know. The Men in Black series does have its serious moments, but it's also more comedic. But I will admit it did have a different tone.
Yeah, that whole movie was a different vibe than the original, and definitely after the second movie. And the second movie, we get a little bit better bad guy, a little more darker. But when we get to the third movie, it's a whole nother ball game. Mm-hmm. We feel it has a whole completely different feel. I mean, granted, it was supposed to because things had changed, but it had a definitely different feel. It didn't feel like the same Men in Black we saw, way back in 1997. Yeah, 97 or something like that.
Yeah.
I love Tommy Lee Jones. I love Will Smith. I enjoy both of them. I love their, even their other projects that they've done. But
they've had pretty good.
The first one is still by far my most favorite, and then parts of the second one are awesome. Especially when he gets his memory back and all that stuff, and he realizes he's working in a post office that's actually full of aliens.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I loved. I enjoyed, and the neutralizers.
I think mine's is backwards. I think mine's is the third one, the first one, then the second one. And the reason why I like the third one, I think it's probably the idea of it. Maybe not so much the emotional aspect, but like the idea of him going back in time to save his friend and end up meeting a younger version of him.
And I was with that. You go in the... I enjoyed the movie. Don't get me wrong.
And Josh Brolin did a great job as him.
If you look at the franchise in general, you had the first movie was got hits moments. The second movie, then you get to a little darker version. Yeah, it has some humor, a little more darker humor with the new bad guy in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it all relates to him going back trying to save Tommy Lee Jones. Find out what happened. And in reality, you also find out what happens to his dad and why he is, immune to the time change. So Yeah, it makes sense.
And probably because
if it were a standalone movie, I mean, granted, you'd have to know, you would have to have met Agent K and J before this movie because it would be meaningless to you. Either you would have had to see the first movie or the second movie, or both.
I think it's also the time travel aspect. That probably had some. It was a good idea, but it's like we haven't seen anything in the Men in Black to support time travel, and then all of a sudden, time travel became a thing.
It's a matter of convenience. Well, remember they said they banned it. They tried to destroy it. That's why the guy was in jail on the moon in the first place for trying to create it and make it happen.
Yeah.
So
okay.
They didn't want to keep it around.
I think that's what, like I said, I think that was a bit of the game changer. Was the time travel? Yeah, but it was good. It was a good story though.
Oh, I loved. Was it Brolin?
Yeah, he was great as
He was spot on.
Yes.
I mean, he was dead on. I just enjoyed the heck out of that because he was so. I mean, you just had a spitting image Tommy Lee Jones just knock off about 20 years.
Yeah.
Carried on, and even outtakes were funny in that whole episode of the. If you watch the outtakes for Men in Black 3, hilarious.
That's a great example of a good cast. They cast it right.
It's somebody you remember, a character that sticks with you, a storyline that sticks to you, makes good movies.
Mm-hmm.
And you always, you'll hear the music play, Men in Black, and you'll sit down and watch it, unquestioned. You just sit down and watch it.
Have you? I keep wanting to talk about Men in Black, but so many other titles we can talk about. Have you ever seen the movie Slither?
I have not. I have heard about it. I'm actually strangely looking right at it as we were talking. It was supposed to be kind of one of them just grossed out, weird, strange movies.
It was an interesting movie. It was about this. I've seen it, but it's been such a long time. And what I do remember of it is it's about this alien species that look like big worms, and what they do is
they're parasites.
Yeah, and they get inside hosts, and one of the recurring themes when it comes to them infecting the host is they just eat. They keep eating, and eventually they start eating people or eating each other and stuff.
Craziness.
It was interesting, and when I seen the movie Slither, it made me think of a movie that came out in the 80s, I believe, that had a similar thing. Have you ever seen a movie called Night of the Creeps?
I may have. It was a long time ago. Why does that sound so familiar?
Yeah, it's about this small town that gets besieged by these alien parasite, and what it does is it gets inside your mouth, takes over your body, lays eggs in your head, and then
lovely.
Your head splits open and more, and they all come out, and they keep doing that.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I have seen this.
Because it had it was like the weird old detective guy, and it was like around prom or something like that.
And it was a bus full of people, and they got the dog. Yes, I've seen.
And the guy eyes popped out his head when he seen the dog.
Yeah, the only way you could kill them was like you had to melt their heads or something. Yeah. There was actually a series of movies that was tied into that as well. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep, I do remember that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. It still got some of the 80s cheesiness to it, but it was pretty good.
Well, it was made in 86, so
yeah.
I said, man, I know that sounds familiar. Yeah, I think I remember when it came out. I probably watched it on like late night TV on USA or something.
I was so scared.
Yeah, I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah, I was so scared of that movie when I was a kid.
Wow.
You could just be anywhere and somebody open their mouth up and you go to say hi and one of these things right in your mouth and then you're infected.
Well, that's like what was that movie? The Faculty.
That was another one that was on the list.
Yep.
I've
seen bits and pieces of the movie. I've never seen the whole thing all the way through, but I got the gist of it. That was one that was kind of crazy, especially the end. It's like, what? Oh man.
When I seen it a long time ago, and then I watched it again like a few years ago, and then I watched a couple of scenes, or like maybe like the first half of the movie a few weeks ago or a few months ago, and I was like, it was a pretty interesting movie.
It was. I really kind of I had to go back because I'm one of those people that I don't watch a lot of TV right now anyway, but when I do hit the TV and something's on, like The Fifth Element, for example, I never saw the whole movie I always kept finding the same spot. Every time I turn it on, it was always being the same spot. And I got so tired of that, and I finally ended up buying the movie so I could watch the whole thing all the way through. That's kind of what happens to me with that movie. You always hit the same spot where they're always up in the attic and they get that crystal, the drug the kid's selling, and they realize that it can actually do something pretty dangerous to them. So always happens to me. I don't know why. Messed up.
Another awesome movie, and this is one of the best alien invasion movies. And somebody be like, "Well, why y'all didn't bring it up earlier?" Pacific Rim.
I liked Pacific Rim.
It had issues, but it was still a great movie.
It was, well, if you've ever lived overseas, I lived in Japan for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually 4 years. So to me, that movie screams Japanation. I mean, giant robots fighting giant monsters, it all fits. And to me, that's what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
Except, we have different names for, we call them Voltron now, or Utaman, or something like that. Same context.
Yeah, Ultraman and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
If they would ever make an Ultraman, if they would have made an Ultraman movie that was like Pacific Rim, but it wasn't a guy that grows into a giant robot or whatever,
well, I would be behind it. They did make a, let me think. They did make an Utaman movie a couple years ago. I don't know if it came to U.S. distribution.
Oh, didn't he fight like?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I seen a trailer for it.
Yeah, they had a trailer for it, because there was actually 12 of them in the whole series, Naha, Chi-Chi, and all the other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm really showing my age, because I actually have somewhere in my storage locker. I actually have a Japanese book you read backwards, right to left, that has all the Utaman in it and everything. At the time, we're talking 1977 to 1980 when I lived there. So. Yeah, to me, that movie just screamed. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. I loved it. And I can't wait. They're talking about now Jason Boyega is supposed to come in on a second movie, Pacific Rim 2.
I thought they canceled that.
No. There was rumor it was canceled. And then I saw something on IO9 the other day that is kind of in working towards being done. It's still early yet. Because they're also talking about doing Hellboy. Del Toro's talking about doing Hellboy 3 or 4. Hellboy 4. So.
I wanted to say, like the aliens. How impressionable were the aliens to you? As far as the builders, not much, because you see them only like 3 times, and it's at the end of the movie. But as far as the giant ones that they had to fight,
yeah. Their whole thing was they kept getting bigger and bigger and better and better each time. Of course, you had the big mamma jamma at the end there, but that's also in a Japanese style too, where if you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z,
yeah.
Their whole thing, whatever it is, it's always about, he's more powerful than me. He's got 1,000 hit points, blah, blah, blah. That's exactly how that movie was going. Bigger, better, better every time. They had a level 1, they were beating with the basic Jaegers, and then they had to move up to, the big Gypsy Rose. And I love the Japanese one they had. It was pretty badass. They had the arm blades and stuff, and the Russian was pretty cool looking too. That big punching fist.
I would have wished that that those would kind of have more screen time.
Yeah, they kind of gave him a little bit here and there, and then one big run.
Yeah, because they were supposed to be I wouldn't say necessarily the best.
Well, they were the only ones.
They were like the last. Yeah, I would have liked to see. I would like to see a little bit more. Wish they would have more screen time, because when they start fighting the monsters and stuff. I mean, granted, the monster did have that EMP, and I think, and that's how it killed like 3 of them, like 2 or 3 of them.
Too much dependence on technology. That's why the Gypsy Rose survived, because it was an older model and didn't rely on all that stuff. And the Russian one survived too, because it was a nuclear hardened reactor.
Yeah, like
but
the
Japanese and the other ones shut down.
I would have loved to see a little bit more, but what do you think about the whole? Okay, these monsters are attacking, because for what I've seen, this is the only movie where they were like, okay, well, aliens attacking, we're going to use giant suits to kind of fight back. Or should it be like a situational thing? If giant aliens like this are attacking, should we take them on like with giant suits? Because now that I think about it, it's like, well, and all these other movies, could you have seen them? Humanity
go with Godzilla. Godzilla is your primary movie for this. In Godzilla, have you ever seen them fight with a giant robot?
The only one is Mecha, or if some people say Ultraman too, but
yeah. But in the most part, all your Godzilla movies, including fighting the monsters, were always with what? Conventional weaponry.
Yeah.
Whether it's tanks, planes, missiles, rockets, whatever. And obviously we know that they didn't survive because they all got stomped or scrapped or whatever happened to them. So to come into the context of looking at Pacific Rim, it's a purposely styled movie where giant robots and monsters are the norm.
Yeah.
So, you have to come into that thought process, because that's why Del Toro did that movie, because he liked giant robots, he liked freaking monsters. So he put them all together, and that's why you had Pacific Rim. And in that movie, equal force. I mean, I'm sure at the beginning of it, the stuff that we didn't see, the histories that happened long before they ever brought the mechs in there, was probably, the tank battles and stuff, and they found out, we can beat them, but they're starting to kick our butt. We need to do something more.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the technology in that series evolved to where they ended up with the mechs and going in there. So I would like to see a precursor to that.
Yeah.
Don't make Pacific Rim 2 a post. Make it a pre.
Yeah.
Bring us into the fold. Bring us into where we had, all the superpowers, the Japanese, the Russians, the Europeans, and all of them that were fighting on different planes with these mechs. Bring them into the story. Give us more in depth about them. Bring us in, draw us into that world, and then throw it out there. And then also, and they could even throw in this explanation of more what the creatures were all about anyway. What were they really looking? Why are they using a rift in the water? What the heck's their deal?
They explained in the movie that the aliens were basically, I don't know if it's resources person. Yeah, it was resources.
Well, most of them is either resources or, we got some ancient secret weapon hidden on our planet that we never knew about for 1 billion years.
Yeah.
But, why? What is it about their world? I mean, obviously the world they were in was kind of weird anyway. Like a cerebral acid dream.
From what I gathered, they were conquerors. They just kept going from world to world, just doing what they could.
Why did they focus so much time and energy on Earth? By sending, what was before them. And it's kind of like we mentioned it earlier. God, the one on Earth.
You talking about Independence Day?
No. TV series.
Oh, Children's Inn.
Which one?
Children's Inn.
No. One before that.
Fallen
Nolan
Sky.
Wiley. Yes.
Okay.
Fallen Skies had that, the aliens that we saw, the what do they call them, crawlers.
Yeah.
Were actually a race that was enslaved by another race. And they were after, they had been in there, and you had the Ifriti, which is the race that was conquering Earth. Yeah. And you had the I can't think of the other race, the big bug-eyed looking dudes. who had fought and lost, but then they learned how to beat them, and they came back in there and were showing us how to beat them.
Yeah.
It was just, they were conquerors. They were, taking resources, but conquering everywhere they went. And some people stood up, some people didn't. It just depends on how good you were. And the same concept could go right back into Pacific Rim Pre.
Mm-hmm.
What were the aliens? What was their deal? Have they done this anywhere else, or is it just the first planet they decided to mess with?
Okay.
All these questions and more.
We've talked about like the big ones, the big epic feeling ones, where there's an alien force that's come to Earth in force, and it's basically humanity takes these bad boys head on. But I think, and we talked about a couple of these other ones too, but I think we should go to more subtle too, to see how we have these alien movies where aliens are among us now, or they've already infiltrated us to the point, like the movie The Fifth Wave that came out early last year. There were 5 waves of how the aliens was going to wipe out humanity. One was, I think, natural disasters.
Mm-hmm.
One was a plague. I don't remember per se. Let me look this up.
I was sitting there trying to look for it too. I didn't get to see it, but it reminds me. The first wave, let's see, electromagnetic pulse gets rid of powers and vehicles. Yeah. Second wave was to manipulate Earth fault lines, causing earthquakes and tsunamis.
Yeah.
Third wave was a strain of avian flu. Where's the fourth one? Third.
I'm trying to.
Fourth. The last one was, well, they didn't get to that point yet. They were getting to that point.
I've seen the movie. I think the fourth one is they were inhabiting people. They were taking over people's bodies.
Yes.
And I forgot what the fifth one. I don't think they got to the fifth one yet.
They called them sleepers.
I didn't know they did have some people that were, but they didn't know it, or if they did know they were, then they were like, what's those quote unquote Russian agents from the Cold War that were
sleepers.
Yeah. The last two, I can't really remember how they were going, but yeah, like that was more of a subtle after the whole war thing. Like I like the way they took with the Fifth Wave. It was pretty unique.
Well, if you ever watched sci-fi back in the what was it, early or mid 90s, there was a TV series called that, and it was basically a race that had developed travel, and they were trying to take over the Earth, but Nostradamus had predicted them in different waves, and he had written it in his quatrains, what was going to happen and how it was going to happen, and there was one person that was supposed to kind of lead the pack.
Yeah.
And they end up finding him, and the whole story kind of falls along him trying to prevent all the waves of things differently happening. And it was a really good series, and they just kind of cut it off. Obviously, they ran it for a couple seasons, and then just kind of okay, next, kind of like Fox did on all their TV series. You get to a good series you like, and then they just cut it off. But that was almost the same style of story that they did with this movie. Just a little bit different, in intensity and how they decided to get rid of humanity in this case. But in that movie, they were sneaky. They had clone bodies. They were sneaking around. They were taking over infrastructure, trying to get in there. And so that when it happens, it was like done. There was no stopping anything. It was too late.
Have you seen the movie Signs, right?
I have actually never seen the movie.
Wow. That is one of like the best alien invasion movies like ever. And it's not because it's all over the top. It's more because it's so subtle. It's a subtle build.
All the little pieces that come together and all the suspense, and when you finally see everything, you're like, "Oh crap!"
It's really suspenseful. That's one of the you ever see the movie The Arrival with Charlie Sheen in it?
Yes.
It's because Arrival was a really good one too, and I like how they did the whole infiltrating humanity aspect.
you guys are wasting the planet anyway. We'll just take it over for you, and we'll just help you do it faster. And I liked it. I liked their thought process. They took how they were trying to get rid of us by making the planet more like theirs, which is inhabitable for humans, but great for them. And how they were all underground and using the skins and everything to get around. And hell, at the very end, I didn't even catch about the kid. I was like, what? Oh, come on, that sneaky little alien.
And I like the little bomb thing that they had. Whenever they throw the little bomb thing, it works like a black hole, kind of.
Yeah, just sucked everything in, and then they could just pick out what they want and pull it out of there. It basically just kind of consolidates everything into that ball, but he was trying to find that one piece, and he just pulled it right out. Chose what he wanted, and there it was. But that was pretty cool. And the second one was even more powerful than the first one.
I still ain't seen the second one.
No, I mean, I haven't seen the second row. I meant the second bomb they used, the same little orb.
Oh.
Because it sucked that whole freaking antenna in. I don't even think, I think they were talking about making a rival too. I don't know if they ever did.
Yeah, they made one.
Did they? Well, let's go look into that real quick. Because I was kind of expecting that many years ago, and I just never really saw it.
In fact, I think I have seen the second one.
It must have gone direct to video or something.
It might have.
Yeah, but that sucker went straight to video. That's probably why I never saw it.
Why are you looking that up? Have you ever seen the movie Cowboys and Aliens?
Loved it.
Loved
kind
it
of, sort of. Let me rephrase that. I liked the thought. I liked the idea. Some of the movie was not quite where I envisioned it. But if you think of reading the old comic books, old sci-fi comic books, so it kind of tied in with that.
I looked at the images of it, and I seen some images from that comic, and I'm glad that they did not put those images in the movie.
For which one, Arrival or Cowboys and Aliens?
Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. It didn't kill me. There was just there was a couple of things I think they could have expanded on a little bit better, but for the most part, I mean, it was an enjoyable movie, and it was something different.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Cowboys and Dinosaurs. This.
I haven't seen that.
Well, it's a comic series that kind of reminds me of this style of movie. It was an Old West, the first encounter of some type of alien life and how they dealt with it. Kind of, now we have the concept of aliens and stuff, but go back to the 1700s and 1800s. Yeah. Where a meteor was like a big thing, and something that would be out of the ordinary. Think of a technological being coming out and doing something. They would have no idea how to cope with it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting idea, the concept of the style of the movie. It's almost kind of like steampunky movies,
Yeah, I liked it. I did love it. And of course, movies have their issues, and I think I liked it because the aliens were so vicious in that.
Oh, they were merciless.
Yes, and the whole idea, because I read the book too, the book based off the movie, so I got a little bit. I think I read the book before I seen the movie. And I did like the book. And I think they established it in a pretty good time period.
I think there was even a graphic novel on that too.
Yeah, and in the graphic novel, when it had the cowboys and the aliens looked like cowboys, like they wore clothes like cowboys and stuff. And that's why I was like, well, I'm glad in the graphic novel they didn't put that in the movie.
Yeah, they would have lost all credibility right then and there. Done.
It goes back
that would have messed up.
Another movie series. You can consider it another movie series. You consider possibly Alien Invasion, and of course, you brought up earlier is the Predator series.
Yep, gotta love it.
And I want to ask you, which one is your favorite
out of the Predator series?
Yeah.
The first one really stuck with me, I think, more than anything, because it was something we hadn't seen at the time. You had I remember just seeing it in the theater and all the soundtrack in the jungle and all the stuff that was going on, and when I'm trying to think of who it was when which one of the guys was killed. They vaporized the whole forest.
Oh yeah.
Was it Jesse the Body that got it? No, he was the one that grabbed it. It was the guy that his chest ripped out.
The guy who had the machine gun, the Gatling gun, or whatever that was.
Yeah, he got mowed.
Yeah, the cowboy dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he got taken out, and then the other guy shows up, and he just kind of sees the glimmer of the eyes.
Yeah, Billy.
And then he just freaking opens up with that minigun, and then everybody shows up.
That's one of the most memorable moments.
And you're like, what the hell? And they didn't hit anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the forest is gone. 5 guys had that much firepower to remove a whole chunk of forest like that. And you're like, and they still didn't get him. And
I was more surprised
because you never saw the Predator. I mean, all you saw was from his perspective. And so just very well near the end when he's actually, he's got the backbone of one of the guys, but you never saw him, and then at the very end, when you saw him, you're like, holy crap.
They did a great reveal. They did a great reveal with that.
Oh yeah. When he whipped out that freaking blades off him like Wolverine and started heating him up, you're like, oh man, there's going to be some crap happening now. And that movie has stuck with me. That's one of my all-time favorite movies is the original Predator. The second one we got in there with, the cityscape, a little bit different style. To me, they got a little hokey at some point because they had the crazy guy Gary Busey in there.
Yeah, he was questionable. Like that, it was interesting, but I feel like the movie could have went without that.
But without him. But I kind of like the fact that they gave you a little more background because how long they actually had been there. When you went on their ship and you saw the alien head and you saw the T-Rex head and then
potentially the xenomorph head.
Yeah, it was right below it. It was a xenomorph head. It was actually on purpose because they were talking about doing an Aliens Predator movie then. They just didn't have the budget to. And, getting more into that story because then when you get into Aliens versus Predator, the first movie, you get more into it of what actually is going on. What are the, granted, you need to read or get into the comic series a little bit more where you actually understand that the Predators now understand what the aliens are and use them as a rite of passage or a game sport because the aliens, we know whatever they infect,
take on those
their
traits.
Character takes on the traits. So if it infects a dog, it looks like a dog. If it affects a human, it looks like a human, at least a bipedal type creature. And in the comic series, they take the queen eggs, they drop them off on planets, let it infect whatever's on there, and then they drop off and they go hunting. They have no idea what to expect. It could be a snake flying creature. It could be a giant bull monster. They don't know. And so that same concept rolls into when we see Aliens versus Predator Part 1 of the trial. The people, we used to worship the aliens and our predators, and they used them. And I like the style of that first one. And
I like the idea of the second one. Like how I like the idea of it.
The hybrid?
Like not really about so much the hybrid. But it was like, okay, this town, this xenomorphs are infecting this town. This predator is there to clean up the mess. And it was great because that's the only, I think that predator was the one that was like, okay, this is the predator everybody knows and loves because he was wiping them xenomorphs out. And it wasn't like they weren't a threat to him, but it showed what a skilled hunter knew how to deal with.
Exactly. Well, it was the whole time we actually, and we were talking about this, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And when you actually get to see the predator, at least what we consider their home world, and you saw all the variety of masks on the walls that he had for different purposes, different things. So the guy's a badass. He's choosing what he's got. He gets there, he gets in business. He's trying to make this go away. We don't want to give up the secret that we've been hunting on your planet for thousands of years, give or take, or even longer than that.
Yeah.
But I want to get in, get it clean up. It's a cleanup guy in the spy movies. The guy that cleans it up, and you never know they were even there.
And he did a great job of it too.
And he was getting his job done. He just got too involved in his work, and his work decided to take him with it. Because why? They ended up with a hybrid alien predator, which I don't think they've ever seen anything like it. I don't think they've ever had that happen. At least in the comics or books that I've read, they've never done that. So
out of the Predator movies, I like the second one more, but I will admit the first one had a better build up as well as better characters.
Yes.
And the reason why I like the second one so much is because it was in a situation where a normal guy it was a normal guy that had to deal with it. He wasn't specially trained or anything like the military forces were on
Joe Schmuck.
And like I said, the Gary Beasley aspect, I wish it could have been done a little bit better because it was good because it did give us exposition. This is why I say they had a better job with the characters. In the whole, what was it? Almost like first half of the first movie, you get to know all of these characters, and you care about them despite what they're doing. They're going around kind of mowing people down and stuff. Mm-hmm. But they're all likable. They all have personality. They all had screen time. They had a lot of time to grow on you. In the second movie, it started going too fast paced with it. Like you never actually got the time to sit down with these characters and get to know them.
No, because it's a constantly moving thing. I mean, the whole movie it seems slow, but it's actually fast paced.
Yeah,
there's so much being thrown out there, so much being put at you that you don't realize it. And if you sit down and watch that movie 2 or 3 times, you'll be like, man, you're right. He never actually ever got to even take a leak, man. He was like constantly going. He was always after something. There's very little time that you're not moving towards progression of the movie where you're either he's chasing the alien, he's chasing the clue, or the alien's chasing them.
Mm-hmm.
There's always one of those 3 things going on. And then we throw in the guys that are trying to trap him, trap a predator.
And
that's a whole other storyline in itself. How do they know about the predators? Why are they there? What are they doing?
And I would give it to, and this is why I like Predator 2 a bit better than Predator 1. Because I love both of them. But to me, both of them, some do more, one does, something better than the other. In this one, even in the first one, even though there was suspense and build up around what the predator could do, in the second one, you actually saw him do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was like it's like 4 big times you actually see him go into a room full of people and he wipes them out.
Mm-hmm. Just flat down mows them. Especially at the very beginning, that first time. Holy crap!
Yeah. I like the reveal of the first one. But I think the second reveal, the second one's reveal was a bit more, was like horror based. Because he was like, takes the mask off. And, the guy takes his mask off and of course he throws him across the room. Then the predator gets up and now you can tell he's serious. He's like, okay, I'm done playing. You've hurt me. We've been playing this game long enough. I'm coming to get you.
Yep.
And then, of course, Beasley character shows up. But I do love both the first ones. The third one I thought was a great idea. But some of the things they did, especially when it came to the characters, they could have done better. Because most of the characters are like carbon copies of people from the first 2 films.
Yeah, they had to. I mean, just the style. In fact, I never even bothered to watch that one
because I think it's interesting.
The concept was great. They're snitching people and dropping them off to hunt them, and they might live, they may not. It's another basically a hunting ground or a game preserve, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, and, it's a great premise, and it does have some really good moments.
But you have the same, you have those group of people like the beginning, each one has some type. I mean, they took them because of those skills, to make it worthwhile. You had a mercenary, special forces guys. I mean, a little bit everybody. One was an assassin, if I remember right.
Yeah, one was a Yakuza.
and you had all these different skill sets.
Yeah,
I guess to make it worthwhile for them to be hunted, but that would give the predators have to have more understanding of humanity in that case, and that's what does spawn my interest.
Yeah,
in that.
I think because of what the type of people they were, made the people kind of couldn't really connect with them. Because again, in the first film, they were soldiers. In the second film, they were cops. And this one, they're all of a mixed bag from different various backgrounds, but they were all kind of bad guys.
Exactly.
I mean, some of them were good, some were anti. It's just like they were all kind of douchebags. And one thing I wish that the film would establish with those characters was build up, they gave us about 20 minutes before the Predator actually did anything. But I wish they would have gave us about 40 minutes to at least get with the characters, let them learn to work together first, then have the Predator show up. Like, because they were dropping off other species on the planet too. Give them a couple of days to get used to the situation and build themselves up as a team while trying to figure out what's going on, and then let the other two-thirds of the movie just, okay, it's them against the Predators. But I'm not gonna lie, it's an interesting premise.
I like the concept of it. I do. I
do recommend that you do watch it, man.
I probably will watch it because it was a different guy who did that movie. It wasn't I remember seeing the precursor, Robert Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, yeah.
Because he's done some other stuff too. He's done some other movies I've enjoyed. So I think for that reason I wanted to watch it because I think he did. Was it So he did Sin City. He did some of the Spy Kids movies, Dusk Till Dawn, and El Mariachi, which I like those movies. So.
Which I'm happy to say that they're supposedly working on a fourth Predator movie.
Yeah.
And I hope, it's supposed to be coming out next year. I hope so.
I wonder what they're going to go with. We need more Predator Homeworld. That's what we need.
From what I could tell, they're trying to take it back to kind of like the first two films was like one Predator, supposedly. And they're talking about bringing back Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. I do not think they should do that.
No. Did we not learn from Terminator?
There are some franchises you can keep the main character for.
No.
But not Predator. Not Predator.
No, it's too long after. I mean, it's been too long. I'm not saying he's like old crusty old dude. I mean, he's still in pretty good shape considering how old he is. But I just don't think he would fit the movie anymore. He had his time. I don't think the
story would allow for him to come back.
Exactly. It wouldn't make any sense. It'd be like, what? Give us some precursor Predator Homeworld. Give us, as I was talking with you 2 weeks ago when we were talking about, the same scenario that the girl from Aliens versus Predator who survived the trial was eventually brought into the Predator world as a huntress, basically. Yeah. She becomes like them, and they treat her like that because she survived their trial, and that's an all-honor system with them.
Yeah.
And bring her in. Bring her what's happened since then,
Yeah.
Bring that storyline. Bring that storyline into play.
And that'll be good because that'll actually kind of canonize that with AVP.
Yes.
There's no reason not to.
I mean, it would be great to bring her in because you could tie her in. Excuse me. It could be years later, and they're back, doing another trial, something storyline where, they may be another alien outbreak, and then she comes back as part of the team to clean up, and ends up, conversing with the team that's, the Earth version of it. Something in there. You could there's lots of things you could do with that storyline. And the comics bring it to life a lot if you read into the Alien versus Predator comics. So I think there would be definitely something there that could come out for another movie without bringing Arnold back into it. Definitely.
We got about 5 minutes left, and there was one more movie I wanted to go ahead and talk about, and I hope you've seen it. Have you ever seen Monsters versus Aliens?
The animated?
Yes.
Love it.
I love that.
Love it.
Too.
The very beginning of it with the president out there who's being played by Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was so freaking hilarious. Loved it. And Bob the Blob, one of the few roles I like Seth Rogen in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because to me, he's the same character in every movie. You can hate me, love me, I don't care. To me, Seth Rogen's the same character as Pineapple Express in every freaking movie he's been in.
Yeah, he always plays like some kind of stoner type dude.
He's one in real life. It's the same. I mean, I don't think I like Pineapple Express, but I didn't like seeing it in every other movie that he's in.
Yes.
But yes, loved it. I loved all the characters. I loved the old crazy general. The guy who plays House as the cockroach. The other one, the missing link. He was great too.
Will Arnett. Yeah.
Oh my God, he was killing me. Hey, look at me, guys. Flex his muscles. Loved it. Great movie. I could watch that over and over again.
And I even like the alien Galaxar. He was great.
Yes, I love bad guys in movies, and he is one of my favorites. Oh man,
this is one of my absolute favorite, not only alien movies but also animated movies.
We got stuck in the mentality of all just. Well, we did talk about Titan AE, but
yeah.
But yes, that is a wonderful movie. Loved it. I had a great time. I saw that in the theater because I really, really liked it. And it was just Hugh Laurie. That's who I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Was the Dr. Cockroach or whatever. Yeah, Dr. Cockroach PhD. I mean, it was just so great of a movie.
And the alien, like Galaxar with his whole alien invasion plan with the giant robot thing.
Yeah, he had his plan figured out. He knew what he was going to do. I mean, he wasn't like a completely incompetent moron like some of these other movies, but it's just all the bad things that happened to him. And of course, our Susan Murphy of Modesto, our main character who gets zapped by the goo, makes her grow.
Yeah.
But it was great. They had, everything in that movie flowed so well. And we get some character development. We get, a great plot. We get a great, just funny thing in general, just watching everything happening. And then they all kind of form together and make things happen.
Yeah.
And then when he's cloning all his clones.
Like that was great too. That was great too.
He gets swerved. I loved it. It was great. There was such a good movie. And I just laughed all the way through it. I love animated series and love animated movies. And that was just a phenomenal, great movie. It's great for kids and great for adults, too. There's some, adult catches in there if you pay attention enough. But for the most part, it's still great. Loved it. I'm glad you brought that one up.
Yeah, I threw it on now. I had to. It was one more I wanted to talk about, but two actually, but we can talk about it on another one. But coming up on that time again, people.
Part 2 is sadly over, folks. But if you like what you hear and you enjoy our conversations, definitely come on by Narik Chase's site here on YouTube. Like, subscribe. If you got questions or you got answers to some of the questions we throw out there, comments, put it in there. We'll answer them. We'll come back to you.
Or even we'll most likely come up with some more alien movies because there are, of course, going to be more that's being produced. And in fact, leave them in the comment section. Some we haven't said before. We go check them out.
Throw them out there. I'm more than willing to sit down and watch all kind of crazy stuff. So, Narik more than me. He's got a broader spectrum of weirdness he likes, but everybody's got their thing. But yep, if you like it, come on back, subscribe, and maybe you'll be lucky and we'll even throw you into one of the shows just to throw your opinion out there.
Yes, if you want to jump in on it, go ahead and message me.
Yeah, we'll throw you in there. We'll throw you under the bus. Keep it clean, but we'll go for it.
All right, then, guys. We'll catch you later. Ken and Narik are signing out.